Imagine you can pause or even slow time. For 90 minutes, the mind is racing, the heart is pounding, the opponents are pressuring you, your coach and your teammates are always asking for more and faster and stronger. You can't hear anything from the yelling on the sidelines and you are scared to make a mistake. Then you see a player that looks like they have all the time in the world. They take their time to pick the right pass, do the right trick, take the simple, easy shot on goal. How do they do that? Speed is everything in soccer, but not always the kind you think. Sometimes the smartest move is to pause. This video is about La Pausa, the art of holding the ball just long enough to let your teammates move into smarter positions, to invite pressure, and to open up space that didn't exist a second ago. Let's break down it from individual, team, and defending point of view. La pausa is a Spanish term that translates to the pause. But in soccer, it's not about hesitating, it's about controlling the tempo of the game. Traditionally, it describes a moment where a player intentionally delays the next action, whether it's a pass, a dribble, or a shot. Not because they are unsure, but because they're waiting for something better to happen. A simple example: a midfielder receives the ball from the back and could pass again right away, but instead they hold for a second. That pause gives time for an attacker to move into a more dangerous run, or a defender to step out of position, or a winger to cut in. This moment of stillness creates disorder for the opposition and opportunity for your team. Making sure we're clear, a situation like this one then is not an opportunity for La Pausa, at least not a smart one. If the midfielder has an opportunity for a clean pass to the winger to play 1v1 to the goal, then that should be executed immediately. The entire team is working to get a one-on-one or 2v2 situation close to the opponent's goal. So if the midfielder holds the ball too long instead of passing, then it's a lost opportunity, not la pausa. Now, players like Juan Ramon Riquelme, Andres Iniesta, and Sergio Busquets made careers out of this skill. They didn't just play the ball, they made defenders make decisions first. As you might guess, the two factors that are technical abilities of these players and the awareness or scanning. However, there's one more key component, and that is the trust of their teammates. Teammates need to make runs when they know that there's a little chance at the moment of receiving the ball. The player with the ball often looks like they're not aware of their teammate making a run. However, the belief that the player with the ball can find the right pass is a key. Let's look at the three aspects of La Pausa. Firstly, the individual with the ball must be able to hold on to the ball. That's why I try to minimize the one-touch rule in my drills. Instead, every drill is a one-touch if the context is right, but it's as many touches as needed if the situations ask for it. To improve the ability to hold on to the ball, I like to play king of the pitch, where everybody starts with the ball in a size of maybe the penalty area. Once the ball goes out, it's out of play. All the players without a ball tries to get a ball from somebody else and tries to keep that ball. So they stay with the last ball in play. This can be fun and useful for 5-year-olds, for 15-year-old teenagers, and even 35-year-old adults. The second aspect is to have awareness and to think before you receive the ball. It's hard to make a smart decision if you start looking around you once you have the ball. You need to control, dribble, and protect the ball. So if this is the first time you start looking for teammates and opponents, then start thinking what your options are. It's probably too late. Imagine if there's a fullback making a run from deep, but you will need to pass to them in few seconds, not now. Do you think you'll be able to see them and make the pass once your defender is onto you and your first touch have not set you up to do that pass? Yeah, I don't think so. For coaches, if you want to design a drill, set 5v5 in space where you cannot pass back to the same person. However, a way more important than anything is I tell my players to go and play pickup with the only objective of making sure that they can see all the players all the time. I don't care if you're attacking or defending. Keep rotating your head to see all the players all the time. It should become like breathing to you. Your positioning and decision making will improve dramatically, and everything else will become easier in the game. The third aspect is about inviting pressure to yourself. Sometimes your teammates have not moved and have not created an opportunity for that killer pass you're waiting for. The opponents have also dropped deep and are kind of still. At this point, you did what you wanted, which is to take your time and freeze the game. The moment you move forward and dribble, it's a cue for your teammates. They will need to move at the same time, creating opportunities all at the same time. You will drag defenders on you, but your teammates also create chaos. My favorite drill for this is 6v4 plus goalkeeper. The numerical advantage will naturally create the defensive side to be a little bit more compact and less pressing. The three central midfielders will need to slow the game down and create the La Pausa, and at one point switch dynamics and get into an aggressive attack. Okay then, we covered the La Pausa, but an astute soccer player like yourself might ask, what about in defense? What if I wait for an attacker to make the first move? Well, that's called containing, and is the most common thing in defending. Of course, you can press, especially in the opponent's half, but containing is what we do in our own defensive third. We slow the game down and we wait for an attacker to make an error before we challenge them. So no, we are not going to call that La Pausa, something that is so common. The reason why La Pausa has not spread is because it's rare, and it takes special talent and education to do well. Also, containing is taught in every club at every level. Coaches asking for players to get rid of the ball as soon as possible is yelled at even the recreational level when they are like 5 years old. So no wonder you can't see La Pausa often. The players have been educated specifically not to do that. Okay, enough ranting here. It felt good to get it off my chest, but also bad for the state of player development. Let's talk about creating La Pausa as a team. We kept talking about individual brilliance, but can we create this thing as a team? Yes, of course. I will give you two common examples. We talked extensively about breaking lines in another video on the channel. Say we are trying to break a high press. If a defender passes all the way to the striker, who makes an easy drop to a midfielder, usually they have lots of time on the ball. This is because the defending midfielders um, drop back because of the danger of the striker with the ball. This is the moment when most attacking midfielders will try to push immediately, thinking there's a momentum. However, oftentimes the momentum is against them because most of the opponents are sprinting back to the goal. Instead, they should wait an extra moment for them to start pushing up again against with a press. La Pausa in this case is done collectively. Entire midfield and defensive lines are moving back and forth, and it's almost certain that somebody will make a mistake. So you might say this is way too specific, and I get it. It's about inviting pressure and betting that the opponents are impatient and non-disciplined. Can we utilize this even further? Of course, there's an old saying that we are old too soon and wise too late. Don't forget that soccer at the highest level is played by players between 20 and 35 years old. And let's not get into the youth players. They're reckless, follow instructions for a few moments only, and then are constantly encouraged to do lots of running, and are also often more arrogant than confident. If they play low block as a team, they start getting anxiety within 20 or 30 seconds without the ball. The opponent is passing in the defensive line, and all of a sudden the striker or the winger start to chase the ball all the way to the goalkeeper. If we can drag few players out of position like that, make them tired while the rest of the team is confused if they are still playing low block or they converted to high press, then we're miles ahead of the opposition. So our team needs to take advantage of this. If we can create this La Pausa as a team, where we pass in our own backline lower and lower until either a long ball or a counter-attacking opportunity opens up, then it's almost unfair how easy it is to create uh, chances. The core of La Pausa is to maneuver time and space, which is often interchangeable in soccer. You get more time on the ball by having more space, by positioning where to receive the ball. And you get more space by creating time, by good first touch control into free space, passing into space, and long pass. The player who creates La Pausa needs to both find the right positioning and have control and awareness to execute. So to maneuver time and space, they need to be at the right time and the right place, and very importantly, be able to execute things very fast. The importance of technique cannot be understated then. The last segment is about how to defend against it. Firstly, low block means low block. If you all agreed to low block defend, then don't get restless. Secondly, marking is more important than tackling in team defending. And if you have left your player unmarked, then you or somebody else will have to do heroic tackling instead. Why make it complicated when you can just keep it simple? Finally, when you hear people talking about players like Messi and how teams defend against him, they often say that they just hope God would help them. Of course, it's a funny answer, but really, you cannot defend Messi everywhere on the field. Now he's a little bit older, so you hope you can make him tired by pressing all the time all around the field. However, for prime Messi, that is not an option. Instead, your team should effectively let him do whatever he wants for two-thirds of the field. Let him dribble all the way in his own penalty box. Don't press him. It will not work. Don't let him drag your defenders out of position with La Pausa. That's what he wants. Drag a defender out of position, pass by him, which drags two other defenders out of position, and all of a sudden the defense looks like Swiss cheese. Defending La Pausa is both emotional and psychological challenge. So the next time you're coaching or playing, remember, speed kills, but timing is what creates space. La Pausa isn't just about slowing down. It's about shaping the game around you. It's about being calm in chaos. And when done right, it makes the whole team smarter. If you found this useful, subscribe for more coaching breakdowns. Comment below in your favorite player who uses La Pausa and how you use it. And if you're a coach, try designing a session where your players learn to pause on purpose. And thank you for watching.